Okay, here we are on the Patriots postgame show. We thank you for patiently waiting. If there's someone to blame, it's Amit, and that's okay.
And the Revolution, and the New England Revolution.
Revolution, and a lot of people talking, and it doesn't matter because it's Patriots preseason game number 1. And again, everything here we're gonna have to qualify by saying it's just the preseason, and the Commanders didn't play any of their starters, but a 48-18 win is a 48-18 win, and all you can do when you play inferior competition is to beat up on them, and that's what the Patriots did, both with their starters playing against reserves, and as you got deeper into the bench, Patriots kept going and going and going. They put drives together. They had explosive plays. They scored. They did well in the red zone. And for the most part, there's just a lot of things that you saw last year that you didn't see this year, at least in week 1, game 1, night 1 of the new kind of Mike Vrabel era of the Patriots here. So again, we'll get into all of it piece by piece and all of the cool things. I know there's a lot of excitement about TreVeyon Henderson, and rightfully so, the way the game started. But guys, just your overall snapshot, first impressions of seeing the Patriots here in action in an actual game.
It felt very different. Like, this is a tough team. This is a physical team. In years past, like, maybe there was one, preseason blowout a year, but it didn't feel very convincing. And obviously, like you said, there were no starters or anything. But this just felt like a team that was dictating terms throughout. Like, the running backs, every single guy that was in there was initiating contact, running guys over, blockers taking guys to the ground, quarterbacks, scrambling and making plays with their legs when they needed to, and carrying it whenever it was necessary. Obviously, the pass game wasn't great today, which Mike Vrabel chalked up to different things. But it just feels like a very different football team, not like a bunch of guys that, are here in a locker room together and they're kind of disjointed and maybe they'll figure it out. This just felt like a very convincing first step, and it built on what's been an impressive summer.
Yeah, they looked like they were ready to go, John. I think from start to finish, again, I know we're going to get more into TreVeyon Henderson, what he can mean for not just the special teams, but the offense. But for him to start it like that right off the bat was like, oh, okay, this is a lot different than last season. And until this season gets probably halfway through to already over, we're always going to have to compare it to last year. And it's already night and day. They delivered the first punch, drive in and drive out. They looked prepared.
Did you guys freeze? I think they froze. Bailey, do we think they froze? Preseason, my friends. That's what we're dealing with right now. We have technical difficulties on the field at Gillette Stadium. We'll get those guys back on in just a minute. Again, dealing with a lot of moving parts at the stadium here. But yeah, I'm going to echo what Kadlick was saying there 100% as we wait for those guys to get back. That's what stood out to me the most, because again, we're going to nitpick a little, right? You're going to talk about some stuff like the passing game really wasn't there. There was no downfield passing opportunities. It's a bummer because you want to see that. It wasn't there, but there's no Diggs, there's no Douglas, and it was a clearly conservative game plan. The Patriots here, they were trying to establish the run, and that's what they did. The thing that those guys mentioned, I think, is the thing that stands out the most to me. And, here you see it on the screen. This is something that the Patriots have up there about their team identity, effort and finish, right? Ball security, ball disruption, details, technique, fundamentals, make great decisions. Now, this whole thing honestly seems like a referendum on what went on with the team last year. And as bad as they were, and all of the things you could point to, which was a well below replacement level offensive line, and really across the board at skill positions, but certainly at the receiver position, but just the overall dysfunction, the penalties, the procedural penalties, false starts, people lining up in the wrong place, people running strange route combinations on top of one another. It looked like it was a team that was basically being coached by people who were figuring out on the fly, and people who'd never met each other and didn't know what was going on with one another, couldn't figure out how to make it work. And it was that way from week 1 all the way through. And that's what stood out the most. And a couple of stats that I want to point out here. And again, you talk about the finish. Everyone's going to talk about TreVeyon Henderson's 100-yard kickoff return touchdown. One of the things that popped for me was him finishing runs, which I thought was great. He delivered the wood twice to the same defensive player. I forget which one it was, but he absolutely brought it. And I think Mike and Taylor are back on. And when I get a thumbs up, I'll go back to the field with those guys setting back up. But effort and finish, it says it right there on the banner. That was there, and that was obvious from moment one. They finished plays punishing, seeking out contact when they were running. I thought that was super and those guys thumbs upping me here. We'll bring them back in here. Super interesting to see. And guys, I was talking about that sign that's hanging up in Foxborough. Yeah. And the first thing was effort and finish. And I know we talked about it on our text thread. We're going to talk about TreVeyon Henderson and the juice and all of that stuff and everything he brings. I just thought, again, it was so unlike, again, it's one game, but so clearly unlike what we saw throughout all of last year, just in terms of the effort, everything seeming for a preseason game, people kind of having their shit together. There's no false start penalties. People aren't lining up in the wrong place. People aren't running routes on top of one another. Like that stuff didn't happen. And it's first preseason game. It's where you would expect things like that to happen. This looked clean,
and that's a good point, John.
Just polished and professional, and it just didn't look like that at any point last year.
Putting a bow on kind of the thought I had before we disconnected, where they just looked ready to go from the jump, and there was criticisms and the thought that they kind of took the first couple weeks of training camp a little too lightly. They didn't, go balls to the wall with practices, and they were walking through a lot. But clearly, half the battle was the mental side. And that showed tonight for them, like you said, being on their P's and Q's with penalties. The pocket stayed clean. Drake Maye played good enough, I thought. We'll get into him in a few minutes. But just from start to finish, they were on their P's and Q's the entire time. I thought it was really impressive for a team that has a new head coach and a head coach who didn't coach a game of football from the sideline for an entire season. For them to be polished under his first game, I thought was really good to see.
And like last year in training camp, the whole thing was like Mayo. It's 11-on-11s every day. Like guys are – it's physical every day, and you're working hard. And then, week one, it's like, it all translated to week one when you're running down Cincinnati's throat. But Mike Vrabel has a different approach. He's been saying, we want to take care of our guys. So they do have some, fairly intense practices, but lighter than what we've seen.
It's been lighter
in years past. Yeah, and even he mentioned specifically kickoff was something that he said that was something they wanted to emphasize because they haven't gotten a lot of opportunities to do it because not a lot of tackling. They got some working with the Commanders during joint practices. They were saying, we want to establish a tone on kickoff. Clearly they did that because you're seeing multiple pancake guys working together, carving out these lanes for the running backs to take advantage of. And we know if you can set the tone on kickoff, how many Patriots teams that have won Super Bowls do we know at some point in the playoffs, that third phase of the game makes a huge difference. And it's backups or whatever. I don't want to keep throwing that caveat out there. Everybody already knows. That was impressive because you could see the violence, even from the rookies, like Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, taking guys to the ground. TreVeyon Henderson, he does not take contact. This man dishes it out. Watching someone that size and that violent run a 4.3, clearly running a 4.3 is terrifying, and it's kind of exciting to have those kind of guys on the football team.
Well, what was the most? I mean, look, what of all the film we watched and you watched in the offseason after the Patriots drafted the players they drafted, what's the thing that geeked everybody up the most? The thing that we kept watching over and over again. It was TreVeyon Henderson hitting people, basically pass blocking, and the violence with which he does it. He's not just picking up the assignment. He's smashing into dudes much bigger than he is and looks like he's enjoying it. And you saw that on a couple of runs, one on a swing from Dre and from Drake Maye. And then again, he's finishing his runs. But let's start at the beginning because I think that's the thing that's the most eye-popping of all is backups or no backups. TreVeyon Henderson just ran through everybody on that first play. And I mean, I'm going to date myself. And yes, I am. It didn't end with a championship, but 1986 Red Sox, first batter, first pitch of the year, Dwight Evans leads off with a home run. They went to the World Series this year. That was a nice,
Don't finish it off with what happened with Bill Buckner. We don't need to hear the rest of it.
We don't need to know what happened. They got to the World Series.
Right.
You think,
they started hot.
You think Patriots fans wouldn't take a gut-wrenching Super Bowl loss this year? Absolutely, they would.
You're right. That's a good point.
He was flying as soon as he got through that first zone, untouched, maybe a fingernail on him, and that was it. And then again, it wasn't just what he did on the offensive side, which was one carry for 18 yards, and they tried to work him into the passing game a couple of times, not really successful, but you got a snapshot, Taylor, of what they envision. And that to me is, and fantasy football owners take note, this is going to be a split backfield. He's not going to completely supplant Ramondre. He's not going to be a 3-down workhorse, but he's going to play plenty of snaps and get the ball in his hand plenty of times a game.
And let's not forget Antonio Gibson also. Obviously, like TreVeyon Henderson, we talked about it. Like, the biggest thing for me was anytime someone tried to tackle him, they were either sliding off or they were the ones going backwards. And that was consistent. Like, every time there's contact, you hear it in the press box. I also want to give Antonio Gibson his credit. Obviously, he had a big return touchdown as well through a stiff arm. That same kind of violence where the first guy is rarely going to be the one to actually bring you down. And if you do bring that running back down, you're going to pay a price. And also the explosiveness in the open field. Lan Larison, even when he got his totes, he was showing it. Terrell Jennings caught a pass thrown behind him, or almost did at least, and got like lit up. Still showed the toughness to take the hit. I just feel like every time they put somebody in the game in that backfield, it didn't feel like a significant drop-off. You still had that physicality, that explosiveness, the burst. Like Lan Larison, unfortunately, was in the locker room with the walking boots, so we'll see what his status is. But we got to see on some outside zone run, his speed to get to the edge, which we see all the time from TreVeyon Henderson on those toss plays, but also the physicality for a Lan Larison when he is going between the tackles to put his pads down and try to inflict some violence. So I was just really blown away by that, and I don't want to say blown away. Maybe that's a little bit much. Let me look at the tape and be absolutely sure. But I was consistently impressed by this wide receiver room, led by Ramondre Stevenson, and then the biggest, running back room.
Making sure.
It's been a long day. But obviously, TreVeyon Henderson making the big plays, but all of those guys really did show out, I thought, in their opportunities.
They're all going to have important roles on the team, and I think that that's sort of this Josh McDaniels staple that we've talked about a few times here. Not the fact that sorry, I was making sure I was reading the screen. Not the fact that he could be a red shirt, because he's not going to be. He was out here. He can play with the big boys. He can play NFL football right away. And we talk about the speed and then him getting around the edge and just burying guys. Like, he can stand in this league. And so they're going to rotate through their backs. They're going to use them all. We saw it tonight. And that's a staple. And that's where, when they originally drafted TreVeyon Henderson, when we were doing our live draft show, I hesitated because I'm someone who, for better or for worse, does not like using that high of capital, whether it's draft picks or money, on a running back, because they're so interchangeable, like you're going to see in this offense. But when a guy in TreVeyon Henderson is that lethal of a playmaker, he's worth the pick there. He's worth a guy who you can keep him, you can use him. He's going to be durable, and it's going to be super exciting to see. So great night from him over.
That's their fun, shiny toy, right? Like, again, that's it. You use your first round pick a year ago on Drake Maye. Everyone wants to see Drake Maye. This year you use it on a tackle. And yes, there's eyes on Will Campbell and how he performs, because it's super important. It's just not sexy. This is their shiny toy. And it's the thing that you think that they can kind of deploy almost right away. And again, I know it's preseason game number 1, but based on the split, the way that they were using them, I do believe, and again, I don't know if you guys have any indication this way from what you've seen in training camp and how it's running, that they are going to be used interchangeably. And certainly based on game script, I could see certain games where Henderson will outsnap Ramondre, if not out-touch him, just based on the fact that they might, need to pass or whatever. But I think it's clear, and Mike Vrabel said it earlier, he is going to lean on his running backs here. And I think you could feel pretty good about Henderson having a sizable role.
I think Henderson is going to be the one. They're all going to do a little bit of everything, but Henderson is going to be the one who truly is a Swiss Army knife. Like, we know Ramondre has some pass catching ability. When he was with Josh, he actually got like a target downfield, I remember, against the Cowboys, where he runs right up the seam. Antonio Gibson, we know, has the wide receiver background. So 100%, they are interchangeable. TreVeyon Henderson's different, though. And while we're on the backfield, I also want to give a shout out to Jack Westover, the tight end. Honestly, didn't impress me too much this summer, but he's taking over at fullback. Brock Lampy unfortunately landed on IR, the undrafted free agent, who I had a lot of hopes that he would be able to be that kind of tough-nosed James Devlin, Jakob Johnson-esque fullback. But Westover, after not really doing much last season, he was hurt. I think they were really just trying to bring up the speed. he had a few nice plays on that toss. They ran that toss to the left like a billion times. They had Westover as that fullback, and he helped carve open some lanes for them. So I wanted to give him some love too, because I think that might be the first time I've said Jack Westover's name on this podcast. But
they opened up the game in 13
with him in the backfield.
Threw him in the backfield as a fullback and ran it down their throat. So yeah, I thought that was noteworthy with Westover. And then the other thing, just on the backfield, where they started in that 13. At some point in that first or second drive, they end up in 21 personnel, and it's Ramondre and it's TreVeyon Henderson in the backfield, sort of split back type situation where
pony.
Yeah, they ponied up, and I think that's to be where they're going to have their bread and butter too, because that doesn't, with both of their abilities in the pass game, putting them in 21 doesn't mean that they're going to just run the football down your throat by any means. They're going to use that and get the ball in space and get them the ball in space, hand it off, what have you. It's going to be fun to see, and I think it's seeing him out there that early tells you, like we said, John, they're going to split this thing up. It's not going to be Ramondre.
Yep.
Ramondre, the last couple seasons, has sort of wore down the stretch because he had to be their bell cow. Now that they have somebody like Henderson who can really take the load off, I think you're going to see much more from Ramondre this season too.
A lot of people were gushing about Henderson after the game. Henderson, of course, also got to speak at the podium as well. Don't always let the rookies talk, so that was nice that they gave him a turn. And here's some of the guys, including Henderson, talking about his performance.
Read it out and hit the hole, and everybody else blocked and finished and did all those good things. So it's a step in the right direction, and anytime you can, we talk about how critical a phase of the game is going to be, and to come out here and be able to work on it.
Make it 100 yards on that kickoff return.
Yeah, I think it's different with the kickoff rule now. You think teams are going to want to tackle and not get 35-yard line, so it's going to be a chance for some returns. And man, it's like a lightning bolt. He was I saw the crease and knew he was gone. So pretty cool. The first time he touched football, it's a touchdown. And then credit guys that blocking up front. That's special teams, and all three phases. I think special teams got to be big this year.
When did you realize you had it? You had that, and did you look up a couple times at the screen? It looked like you looked up to see if people were coming at you.
Yeah, I thought the kicker was gonna get me, so I had to make sure I hit the gas. But yeah, that's when I knew once I got past the kicker.
Andre and Antonio, and how do you see each other kind of complementing one another?
Yeah, I think we do a good job of just feeding off one another energy. I know in practice those guys motivate me. You don't always come out practice motivated, and but seeing other guys go and just competing with the other guys, it pushes me a lot. It helps me get going, and so and same with the game. I know it's just one game so far, but just seeing Ramondre start off, seeing Antonio get in there, just feeding off that energy. I think we all do a good job of doing so.
Post game with a backpack. I like it. First day of school. TreVeyon's ready to go.
Is that a setup?
No, just saying. I like
sharpen
it.
your pencils.
I
can't get over see it. Being in a backfield as Drake Maye with those two guys there, you can fake a handoff, you can dish it out, you can run a guy up the seam, you can run a guy outside like that. I hate to bring it back to myself. There was a time when I was playing college football, we had two really good running backs. We would run this personnel, and they would do anything, and you make their job so easy because you just get the ball out to them. That's what Drake Maye has here. He has weapon. Now we'll get to the weapons in the wide receiver room. That's a different story. Some guys, played pretty well. Some guys not so much. But that running back room is going to make his job a whole lot easier. He said it himself, and you saw it tonight with TreVeyon.
Yeah. And also that running back room, like how we're kind of looping in the special teams. One, sorry if I was yelling. There's so much noise around me. Yeah. I can't really hear myself, so I'll try to quiet down a little bit. Want to give some love to Craig Woodson as well. 3 tackles on kickoff. Just Jeremy Springer's unit was absolutely on fire. Obviously, the kick returns are what's going to be what grabbed the headlines, but those guys were flying around. We already mentioned the blocking, the pancakes, but the fact that you also had a rookie who was active and consistently around the ball 3 phases of the game. It's just I had Jeremy Springer's unit has, I think, played above expectation, but now that the roster's actually deep and the special teamers are guys who are actually fighting for roster spots and guys who bring a different skill set versus being pure special teamers you don't really think are going to make the roster. I think that was one thing that showed up. And I actually talked to Craig Woodson about that. He was saying that's something that's been emphasized for him going all the way back in college, just fundamentals, kind of working on it constantly. And it showed up. He had 1 missed tackle, I think, on he was kind of got stiff-armed or something like that. But for the most part, going back to college, he's been a really good tackler, and we saw it on special teams.
Well, while
too.
we're on the special teams conversation, then can we bring up Javon Baker? Can we talk about
No,
it?
no. We're gonna get there. We will get.
We're gonna
there.
get to Baker
Promise.
because I have a lot.
But
I have a lot on Baker.
We are
so we'll
we are
get there.
20 minutes in, and we've got Woodson, Westbrook, and Jeremy Springer. You know it's a
Westover.
Taylor Kyle's production here when we've got all of these things before we're talking about Drake Maye, which is what we're going to talk about in just a minute. But first off, we do want to let the folks at home know about our lovely sponsors here at Patriots Postgame, Patriots Press Pass, Patriots Daily, all of it here at CLNS Media. And that, of course, is Prize Picks. And again, this is the time of year you're going to want to get in on this action because football season is starting up, and I know that's what juices you guys up here. And Prize Picks is the place to be, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in all of North America. Check out Kadlick. He put out his picks earlier today. I don't know how he did, but we'll check on it. But all you have to do, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Went up to 2,000 times your cash when you play Prize Picks. You can mix and match games, mix and match sports. Doesn't really matter. And you get this special offer when you sign up today. Play 5, get 50 instantly when you download the app and use the code CLNS. Once again, code CLNS. Play 5, get 50 instantly in your account when you sign up today. Prize Picks. Run your game, baby. Back to the field here. And yeah, look, I thought the Baker story is interesting, and I do want to get into that as well, especially because things are breaking right for him. Not necessarily in a great way, but one, he's playing his way into into things, but also a couple of injuries here have changed his overall outlook. And I think you're going to have a lot of, I know everyone does this, and I'm sure Taylor and Mike will kind of be putting their own spin on. Let's look at the 53 after preseason game 1, and that's going to change. And I think Baker's going to be on there for a lot of people. Drake Maye, we know, is going to be on there. Obviously, he's the guy, and he's the guy that makes you feel good about all of it, right? Because you know you've got that, and you want to see how he's going to develop in year 2. You didn't see anything today in terms of passing. You didn't see anything from the Patriots at all in terms of getting the ball downfield. Now, we can say it's the preseason. We can say it's conservative. We can say there were no digs, no pop, lots of different things there. But what do you guys say? Wouldn't it have been nice if you're going to nitpick a little? Wouldn't it have been nice to see Drake rip a couple throws downfield? I don't know what they were looking to do. I don't know if anybody was even open or available. And I know you guys will look at it a little bit more closely with the film, but 3 of 5, 12 passing yards, mostly safe stuff. Didn't really have anything. Threw a couple balls where only his receivers could get them, which I thought were good on some incompletions. That's a sign of maturity. The fumble, of course, is not a sign of maturity. He had a terrible, terrible, terrible turnover. And that's the kind of stuff you want to get out of your system. And that's the kind of stuff that you hate to see this early on. So, guys, just your kind of overall thoughts on Maye's day.
Yeah, the fumble was a knucklehead kind of play that he has avoided really all summer. Reminding me of that play against the Dolphins where Zach Sealer was about to sack him and he holds the ball behind his head and he gets punched out. It's one of those brain farty kind of Drake Maye moments I'll have a few times a year. Hopefully he got it out of his system. Doesn't carry over to the regular season, but he's a guy who's very good when it comes to taking calculated risks. So when he's not going downfield, I'm assuming it's either because he doesn't have time or he doesn't really like the window. But Mike Vrabel kind of mentioned, he said the passing game could have been better. I asked him, well, what exactly was the reason for that? Mentioned one was opportunity. You have the long kickoffs. Your run game's going pretty well. So Drake didn't have a lot of opportunities to really show what he could do, but he did praise Drake for the fact that he used his legs. And that's one thing that I do like is we've seen throughout the summer, one very big important key for Drake Maye has been not using his legs when he doesn't need to. Keep your eyes downfield, be a passer as long as possible, only run when absolutely necessary. And Mike Vrabel said, hey, he ran for, I think it was a 3rd down, got down, didn't take a hit, and then he ran again in the red zone and was able to score when they kind of parted the Red Sea and gave him an opportunity, which was actually very cool. 3 rookies kind of in balls where Jared Wilson and Will Campbell kind of created the opening. Yeah. TreVeyon Henderson attracted 2 zone defenders. That created the lane for Drake Maye. So I don't want to overhype his night. Again, the guy threw 5 passes and ran twice. There's not a whole lot to glean from it. But those, brain farts, got to get rid of those. But I did like at least what I saw from a decision-making standpoint outside of that.
And that's the thing about the brain fart and the turnover. I don't know when I'm going to get there, but I think I'm almost kind of done giving him the, hey, it's okay, it's going to happen. Because he is so good. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say he was terrible, the night was ruined because of that. But You can't have that stuff happen. You do have to hold on to the football, or you do have to make sure you can get the ball out of bounds. Now, again, it's going to happen. So
I think the biggest thing for him is going to be like those kinds of brain farts, like that specifically, that can't happen ever.
Right.
Well, but more often than not, I don't think he's a big repeat mistake guy.
Sure.
Like you don't see him make a glaring mistake and then do it again the next drive. So that's one. I have very high expectations for him, but as long as like he doesn't do that again, and as long as it's not like the Bobby Wagner thing where he doesn't look a veteran linebacker off and he contributes to an interception, it's like, okay, like those are the ones where it's like, all right, I'll let it slide, but don't do it again. So still, there's some time, but really, truly, like, don't be willy-nilly with the ball. That was kind of unbelievable based on everything else we've seen.
Mike Vrabel said it on the broadcast. I saw that he said to Steve Burton, like, that was a bad decision by a quarterback. He said it after the game.
And
that's
here
a
he
bad
is.
decision by a quarterback. We can't have it. John, if you have it, you can play it.
Here he is. Here he is after the game, because I had something I wanted to add here too.
Cool. On Drake's performance, and I'm sure the turnover probably annoyed
and
you,
giving it to Rochi here.
With what he did.
Are you asking and answering a
Just
question
know
at
your
the
thoughts.
same time? Is
You
that
know
what you're doing?
I got you. Your thoughts.
Nice. I would say you about summed it up. That's a bad decision. I think we're going to need better from him, and I think he knows that, and that's obvious. So, wasn't there, and we just have to be able to find a way to get rid of the football or take a sack and punt and play defense. But to the defense's credit, they forced a field goal. I think that was missed maybe, but they got a couple, it was a sudden change opportunity.
Disappointing was it to start sort of with that fumble on the
Yeah,
first
it's
drive? What
disappointing.
happened
I was excited to get out there, and TreVeyon takes it the 100 yards. Was pretty sweet, but you got a little bit of drive going. Third down, and just can't do that. One first time out. Just to put a damper. I'm glad we responded well that next drive, but same time I'm glad it's something that I can control. But at the end of the day, you just can't put the defense in that position. When games matter and during the season, and I told those guys that's on me. We got to get back out there, and glad I was able to get another series going.
And that's the thing. When you have superpowers, like Drake Maye, and you can do everything physically, you can run, you're agile, you can throw, you can do stuff, you can throw from different angles. You probably think that you can get away with a lot more stuff. And I think that that's part of the learning curve. So I get it, Mike. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of patience for that when the season begins, because, all right, Drake, it was cute last year and you were given nothing and nobody expected you to win and you were trying to do a lot with a little. And so, sure, sometimes you're going to try to do too much, throw a bad pick, right. So it goes. And it happened a lot. And it was the one blemish on the way that he played last year. This year, it's got to go down, not to zero, but it's got to go, way down there. And Taylor, you mentioned the runs
for what it's worth,
and
this
being
is the time
smart
to do it too, right?
And one more thing to that point, like there's also plays where Drake, like in that Miami game where I mentioned he tried to stiff arm Zach Sealer, it didn't work. He also, the touchdown to Austin Hooper where he gets out and throws it 50 yards on the move, he stiff armed a defender. So like it's one of those things with in his career where like these guys are super talented and can do some crazy shit, but you got to learn what you can do and what you cannot do. And I think that was one of those. So again, learning moment, but what you had to say, because it's kind of different where he can do those things and kind of play outside of structure and act a little willy-nilly, but like, don't do it when you're putting the ball in harm's way.
It's the same with running quarterbacks, and he has that. He's got to figure that out as well, because a lot of times he drops back and he's got to know, I could go right now and I'm going to get some yards. Even on the first run, you could tell he was looking. He's like, you guys don't want me to be running right now, do you?
You look, but then you look to me and go, he's going to score right here.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I thought he was going to. It looked like the Jets game where he had the edge on the guy and was going to get there.
You could see him in real time thinking, they told me not to do this. And he's like, he looked around. He's he was like, I swear I'm going down. I swear I'm going down. I'm just going to get this first down and I'm going down. And then he did. But he's like, it was open. He's like, I could, in his mind, he's thinking like, if I make this guy miss, I'm going to the house. And he's got to kind of negotiate that a little, because he can do that. But you are inviting contact. It happened last year with the concussion where he, everyone's like, you got to go down.
Sliding doesn't save you because they can still hit you in the head by accident. And it doesn't matter if it's a penalty. You're out.
Sliding late is one of the most dangerous things you can do. So, there's still those maturity things. And we're going to have to remind ourselves a lot that he's just a second-year guy. But again, we don't know what they have in terms of the receiver room, and I don't think we're going to know yet. And again, you didn't get the full complement today, and even if you did, you weren't facing starters. So that's still going to be an incomplete. I think that's going to be a question mark that everyone's going to look at a little bit here is how's this going to, like, are guys going to be able to get open for him, or is he going to be dropping back, looking around and seeing a lot of the same thing last year, which is like not a lot of separation. So they got to scheme it open. Otherwise, he's got to improvise and things are going to have to get weird when they do decide to pass. I don't know what they have yet with the receivers. I don't think anybody does.
I will say this today kind of reminded me of the preseason or the scrimmage they had, where it's like, oh, no one's getting separation. Drake's not throwing the ball. He also had Efton Chisholm, Kyle Williams, and Pop. So it's like two guys he has some experience with, but not a ton. You can understand why that would have made him a little gun shy. He didn't have Stephon Diggs today. I don't think he really targeted Kayshon Boutte. I know Matt Collins is out there.
Collins down the sideline.
Right, and like Collins is still a guy where he's getting experience because Matt Collins just got activated. So I'm not really worried about that. I would like to see him more key in on Pop in those situations where it's like, hey, like Brady did, where it's like if I don't trust two of the guys
find your
they have to
binky
be on the field.
Yeah,
exactly. So I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more of that. But again, the sample size was so small. I don't want to get crazy. Also, I don't know if we're going to talk about if this is quarterbacks or receivers, but I want to give Belvin Wiltshire some love at some point.
On the sample size, you're right, Taylor. Like there's no panic button on it yet, but through their first 3 or 4 drives with Maye and then into Dobbs, there wasn't a completion to a wide receiver over the first 3 or 4 drives. It was tight ends and all 3 running backs or 4 running backs caught a pass before any receiver did. And a couple of them were targeted. Obviously, we talked about Matt Collins down the sideline. So it's early yet, especially with the sample size, but you do want to see if they do get more playing time out here or we get more against against the Vikings next week, what you see from Drake and Pop being able to get it to those guys, that's going to make the difference. And
you did see it in the practice.
Get on the same page.
That's what makes me feel
this is also true. Yeah.
What makes me feel better is I think we're coming off, and I think it's important here because, I mean, you guys are there, so you know it. You're living it day to day, and so you're seeing the whole progression of what's going on behind the scenes. But not every fan is like plugged into Taylor Kyle's Twitter feed to get a play-by-play of every single thing that happens.
You should be if you're not.
I don't know what you're doing.
You should be. But you got to feel really good about how they were in those joint practices, which sometimes are more competitive than the games because you're going against actual competition, and it's pretty lively. And he was finding people and he was making plays, and they were really good in the red zone. And you had to feel really, really, really good with how that offense performed against the Redskins in that final joint practice there.
Justifiable sample size as well, where tonight, 2 drives with Drake, no completions to receivers. Okay, dump it out to your running backs, what have you. Then you get it going a little more. Then you get Stephon Diggs on the field, find him on a shallow crosser. He gains 8-9 yards. Pop Douglas gets someone on a whip route. Then you get going from there. And then the juices start to flow and the wide receivers get going. So while it's noteworthy, there's no reason to panic just yet. I think they just need to get more reps in game action.
And if anything, I was encouraged by the young receivers who we think are going to make the team. Kyle Williams was open
all
ton. He
at least 3 times.
Somebody on that slant. He gets wide open. Dobbs throws behind him. There were 2 straight goal balls. The first one, he gets a step on his guy. I think it was overthrown. The second one, I don't know why they didn't pull a flag because he gets a step late in the route, which that's the thing about Kyle Williams you like to see. Either he smokes you against press or you try to play off to protect yourself. But he's so fast that if the corner is looking up to try to find the ball, you inherently slow down, and Kyle Williams kind of snuck behind him. Then the corner panicked and dragged him down and didn't get a flag. And, of course, he also gets open on a curl. Unfortunately, drops a low pass. But, like, Kyle Williams is getting open consistently. Efton Chisholm, obviously, like 5 catches for 60, or I think it was 6 catches for 50 yards.
6 for 50, yep.
6 for 50, yeah. That doesn't look great. He also had the crosser where it was, I thought it might have gone through his fingers. I think it hit like one of his hands and came off. That wasn't super catchable. And then he had a sail route where he got wide open and Joshua Dobbs overthrew him. So his stat line looks a lot different if he gets some more catchable balls. And obviously, like Mike Vrabel mentioned on the screen, that was a great play. The juke to set up his block, then the break tackles, just keep getting north. Because sometimes with these young receivers, they want to dance, right? They want to make somebody miss. And Efton was like, no, I got to make my one cut, and then I got to get down and try to convert. It's 20 yards to make up for a penalty. Then there was the other play, remind me. The other big play that the touchdown.
Oh, yeah. Right,
where
yeah.
and that was a nice moment from Woolridge, where he kind of steps up in the pocket. It collapses on him. He just barely gets it out, and it kind of floats.
Yeah.
Efton Chisholm tracks it in tight coverage, breaks the tackle, and then runs in. That's the kind of stuff you want to see from Efton Chisholm. Kyle Williams, you want to see him get his hands on some more of those passes. Obviously not all his fault, but like we pretty much know what the veterans in this room are. We know Keyshawn Booty, Stephon Diggs, and Demario Douglas are reliable. Matt Collins is a little bit shakier at this point, but hopefully he improves. But you saw two of those young guys that I've been a big fan of this summer showed out, even if the sophomore receivers and Jalen Polk, unfortunately because he got hurt, and Javon Baker because of some, missed opportunities weren't able to capitalize on. But those rookies, man, like this rookie class is looking very good.
Yeah, you got to feel good about Williams because, as you said, he was open. If you're going to talk about another blemish on the night, Dobbs was really inaccurate. You just mentioned multiple misses there, all came off of from his arm. But
not Woolridge, no Woolridge though. Like he
Woolridge
deserves some genuine love. Mike Vrabel shouted him out. I think he had like 138 passer rating or something. Two beautiful crossing routes to John Giles.
Absolutely.
Hit Jeremiah Webb a couple of times. Like I was really impressed with that third string offense. I can't remember seeing just the depth on this team is crazy compared to other years where by the fourth quarter you're like, oh my God, please. Like I don't want to watch this anymore. These guys aren't even going to be in the league, but this was actually competitive all the way down to the end. And those third stringers really did step up.
Yeah, and again, it's fun to see it because late in the game, you're like, what am I watching for here? And it's always nice where you get a nugget or two. So hats off to Woolridge, yes to Chisholm as well. We're here. This is Taylor Cow's favorite part of every show that I'm involved in, and that's the Jalen Polk Hour.
Where in the world is Jalen Polk?
Where in the world is Jalen Polk? And I get, I swear I'm not rooting against this guy. I just can't friggin' believe what's going on here. And so, look, right out of the gate here, and again, what was Douglas did what tonight? DeMario.
I don't think Pop did anything.
Pop didn't really do anything.
Did he? How many? So how was on the field? How much?
Probably played like 3 snaps.
Very little, right?
But I can't imagine he played much.
I don't think. But you didn't. There's no Diggs. Pop. I barely remember seeing him touch the field.
There was a lot of heavy personnel. That was why they had a lot of multiple tight end sets, and he doesn't really play in those.
He wasn't out there because he's really playing in 3 receiver sets here. I know you said they're trying to work Hollins in, so we saw him on the field a bit. You saw Williams coming in with the 2s there. Polk's coming in. Polk's behind all of these guys. Just before he gets to the field, he's kind of in the 3rd wave of receivers now, which is not great. Just to begin
That's how it's
with.
been in camp as well. It looked like Javon Baker was starting to tick up, and even Chisholm looked like he was getting more opportunities with the ones that were limited, and Polk wasn't getting any.
So, yes, he started off in a weird position, which is passing his physical, but not playing because he didn't feel right. So he was 3-4 days behind. I don't know if that put him in a doghouse or something, or if Vrabel came in with an idea that I don't like, this isn't my guy, and I don't love it. So I don't think Polk has great standing there. I'm sure he's given a fair shot. And if he were to compete his way into things, it would be fine. But he definitely feels like he's on thin ice to begin with. And then what happens tonight? He doesn't even get a pass thrown his way. They run him on the saddest toss sweep ever. He can't turn the corner because he can't run. So he goes nowhere.
All right. Whoa. Wait. No. Javon Baker looked like he missed a block. There was just somebody he looked at and then decided to go to someone else, and then someone just tackled Jay. Like maybe he could have made a miss, but that was a bad play. And I don't know.
Sure.
I have a different feeling about Jalen Polk this season than you because granted, it's not like Mike Vrabel's exactly ripping anybody, but he talked about how Jalen Polk, even when he wasn't on the field, was putting in a lot of work. He kind of compared him to Jared Wilson. He's studying, he's taking his mental reps and doing what he can.
Well, I'm sure he's trying not to break him. Yeah.
Right, of course. And I mean, that's significant because literally Gerard Mayo made Jalen Polk's life even harder. But I think that Polk was in a position where he needed to earn more spots. I think he tried to mix him in and the other guys just stepped up. But honestly, the sample size with him in this system has been so small. I don't really I believe Vrabel when he said it was a clean slate. And I think tonight it sucked, man, because he didn't really get an opportunity. Maybe if he stays in the game, he makes 1 or 2 catches and this is a very different story.
You want to see it.
That was already injured.
And it does suck. He's had a tough go of it since the beginning here, where he started out hot in his first training camp, falls off a cliff last season, 12 catches for 80 yards or whatever it was as a rookie. And then it's like, okay.
Which Elliot Wolf took blame for also. He
Yeah,
said
right.
that they didn't put him in
We
very
didn't
good
put him in a
spots.
good spot. So, okay, change the page, get your surgery, get healthy, what have you. Plays a little bit here and there in minicamp, goes over the summer, plays with works out with the guys down in Carolina, and then comes back, has the muscle thing, can't get on the field. You mentioned it, Taylor, stays involved so that when he can get on the field, they put him right in. He didn't have any ramp up. He knew where to go on the offense. He looks like he understands what's going on. There's not a learning curve here.
He wasn't like making mistakes on the field.
There's no mistakes. It's just the fact that he can't get on the field and stay on the field. It's just tough. And I don't know if there's a real answer for it because, like you said, he didn't do anything wrong on that play. Javon Baker missed the block and he ended up getting hurt. And then he reactivated his shoulder. Then he goes, it is. That's the right word. It's unfortunate. Now, if they cut him,
I think it's more likely IR. Probably.
Well, now,
bad,
that's what's interesting.
I don't necessarily feel like he's gotten.
Yeah,
it's a tough situation. I don't hate him as a player. He's gotten the shit out of the stick for the last 2 years.
Even though he wasn't making mental mistakes on the field, which is like the biggest thing when you miss that much time is like just don't have brain farts, and he was doing pretty well in the.
Well, I mean, he wasn't having brain farts last year as much as he was having hand farts. You know, like he just couldn't catch anything thrown his way. So making that sound, but. It actually, in a strange way, solves not a problem, but makes a decision for you. If IR, and again, it's worth mentioning, he landed on a shoulder that he had surgically repaired in the offseason. It was dragging, walking, running off the field. He knew it right away. Not a great situation. And sure, could he have avoided major injury? Maybe. But also, could he be hurt enough where you just give him one of those IR trips, even if you think he could be back in week 6 of this year?
Because he's already missed so much of the summer. It's like he hasn't really done a whole lot. If he misses more time.
This feels like a red shirt year for him, where he has IR, and now you don't have to make.
He does anything in year 3 again.
You don't have to make.
I'm not going all the way there, but I just think that he is.
But you saw it with Thornton.
Yeah. It just feel that wasn't salvageable.
I mean, Thornton's looking better now. I mean,
it wasn't. What I'm saying is
it's opportunity and situation.
It doesn't mean anything. All it means is you don't have to cut bait on an asset on a player that you've spent a premium asset on, and then hope you're kicking the can down the road. Hope that something changes, and then he comes in fresh next year, and it's a different story. And then you're like, okay, we can roll with this now. And you still got another year to evaluate before you've got to make the decision on an option. So but now you don't have to make the difficult decision of trading him for a 7th rounder, trying to recoup something, or just flat out cutting somebody that was a very high 2nd round pick last year. That sucks. Even if it isn't this regime that did it, letting go of that is difficult. I mean, if Polk were an undrafted free agent, he gets cut last year, like he doesn't. So he's hanging on because of his draft status. And that's one of the reasons why you're going to want to try to keep him if you can, to see what happens. So you would have rather seen him figure it out, start to, give you some return on that investment and be a serviceable receiver. But I mean, Lazar said it on that crossover episode, when you're comparing Baker and Polk, there's more redundancy with Polk. You've got a lot of guys that can do things that he can do, and not a lot of people that can do what Baker can do. You just don't know whether Baker can do it on a consistent basis. So we'll transition the conversation over to Baker because you guys wanted to talk about it. It's interesting how things work out for him because when Marcellus Dial goes out, you lose somebody on special teams, and Baker jumps in there now, and he's making plays. He made plays tonight on special teams. And now you've got Polk potentially seriously hurt, who knows, all of a sudden carrying a 7th receiver or however deep you want to go, if that person is contributing on special teams, doesn't seem as ridiculous. That also gives you a spot for Chisholm potentially. And this is, again, assuming that Bourne isn't going to be here, because I think that's where it's trending. But if you look at where it is, I think everyone kind of gets what they want here. You get the exciting undrafted free agent. You get Baker, who has a skill set unlike a lot of other people's on this team because of his physicality and ability to get downfield and run, and then just see where it goes there. So things are kind of seem to be breaking the right way for him.
I liked what I saw with Javon Baker tonight. I wrote a stock up, stock down wide receiver room thing for SI.com if you want to check it out. But I didn't give him an up or down. I kind of gave him a hold because of the missed block and because he didn't make a catch on the offensive side of the football. But his ability on special teams, the 2 tackles, his willingness to go down there and make a tackle, and I think Mike Vrabel likes him, Taylor. He came off the field, and Vrabel was the first guy, smile on his face, give him a pat on the head, get off the field. After the game, he was asked about Javon Baker. It was the first smile we saw from Vrabel. He smiled ear to ear. He was like, yeah, I really like the fact that he's able to go out there on special teams, make plays. He's an asset, not just on offense. So while there were a couple brain farts or the one brain fart on offense, then also not
few brain farts on offense.
Okay. I want you to dive into more on that. I thought the special teams value was important, and I think it helps him, especially with Jalen Polk going down as well.
Yeah, and I think tonight continued the theme with Javon Baker, which has been, all right, yes, he does good things.
Oh, no. I lost him. Bailey, get word to Foxborough that we lost. No, we got him. We got him back.
Oh, I'm back?
Oh.
What did
you guys glitched out? I thought I was going to go solo for a minute there, but you're back in full. Go for it.
Okay, we have 5 minutes of battery, so I will wrap up Javon Baker really quickly. Yes, I love that it was kickoff and punt, so very impressive for him to get tackles in 2 different phases of the game. Looks like he might replace Marcellus Style as the gunner opposite Brendan Schooler, which I really like. We know he's got build-up speed, and if he can tackle and he's willing to, kind of like Jaheim Bell, really threw himself into special teams, that would be huge. But you also saw targeted on an end zone fade. He jumps too early, and it makes the patch pretty much uncatchable. Then I understand that ball that Joshua Dobbs threw to him was tough because Dobbs just kind of heaved the thing. I had no idea how that even got to him, but it goes through his hands. And like my expectations for Javon Baker are high because he's such a talented player. The guy's got like 10, 11-inch hands or something like that. You need to catch the ball more consistently, and you just need to show better instincts and execute and finish. Those are the things I want to see. But if you can contribute on special teams, that's how you get on the roster, because maybe you are still a project
side of things once you're on the roster and get your, get your chances there.
Because if you're a receiver and you're still learning, that's okay if you are a special teams demon or someone who is making an impact, versus if you can't really be used on special teams and then you're going on the field like you're missing blocks, you're not really executing the way you're supposed to. That makes it harder to justify a roster spot, even if you're talented. So obviously that was a huge step in the right direction for Baker.
Because we're running out of batteries, you guys have 3 minutes to talk about the defense. Go.
My guy Elijah Ponder, he didn't show up in the stat sheet, but I did see him put guys on skates a couple times. He actually, I don't think he played in the fourth quarter, or he got pulled relatively early. Guys who did play were Anthony Jennings and Truman Jones, 2 veterans. Anthony Jennings is a guy that when Harold Landry got signed, I mentioned that I thought he might be on the outside because we know he's an elite run stopper, but this is an attacking 4-man front where Anthony Jennings, being a guy who can stop the run but not really rush the passer, really comes back to hurt him. So unfortunately, I think Anthony Jennings may be off the roster, but Elijah Ponder continues to shine. The defensive backs, like these corners, you had plays from all these guys. Miles Battle got his hands on a pass. DJ James with the interception and a pass breakup. It was Jordan Polk, a guy that I don't think he's made any plays this summer.
He capitalized on a play. Patriots legend Jay Polk.
More catches than Jalen Polk made today. I don't want to make fun of him, but really I was impressed by the defensive backs getting their hands on passes. Jalen Hawkins taking advantage of some opportunities. Marcus Jones breaking up a deep ball there. And the defensive line really just looked pretty dominant, especially early on when those starters were in there. One last thing, Khyris Tonga, a guy that when he was signed, we all kind of thought, okay, yeah, he's your run stopper, your 2-gapper replacing Devon Gotcha. He has been a significant piece of their pass rush when he's on the field as well, which I didn't expect. So we got access to the locker room for the first time. I asked him, I was like, no disrespect, I didn't know that was part of your game. Is that new, or was I missing something? He was like, I'll be honest, man, that is new. I think I stepped it up a level this year, and that's because of the room I'm in, being able to pick these guys' brains and learn from them. So Khyris Tonga, man, stock up, and it's been trending up for a long time. I'm so excited to see what he does this season.
I'll add to the defensive side. Kyle Duggar missed a pretty egregious tackle. He can down.
But he also ended a drive. He did when the quarterback scrambled. He stopped him on 3rd down. Got to give him some love as well.
Yep, he did. So we'll see with Duggar. He's someone who's ultimately trending in the wrong direction. And then Anthony Jennings too. I know you mentioned it, but he's someone who is a pretty good player in this league, and he has been for the last couple seasons. I wonder if you're able to get something for him on the trade market, because you don't want to just outright cut a 3rd-round pick from, I mean, it's been a couple years now. He was re-signed, what have you, but I feel like there's value there. It just doesn't seem like he fits in what they want to do here on defense.
Yep.
Make room for Defensive Rookie of the Year, Craig Woodson.
Yes.
You've each got 20.
Well on special teams too.
You've each got 20 seconds to talk about the offensive line, particularly the left side, where you've got 2 rookies in there. And again, you're not going against starting caliber, caveat here, disclaimer. But again, you've got the missed stunt that results in the pressure there on Maye. It happens. Miscommunication. You're going to live with that much more than watching Campbell get ragdolled or get beat by speed rushes, which is what you don't want to see because you want to make sure he can hold up. I thought he held up well in the limited, pass pro opportunities that he had. But again, you talk about someone finishing plays, and he's another guy out there when they're running the ball out there finishing plays. He had one downfield block where he's just driving a guy well past the whistle into the ground. He had another kick out as well where he just takes on his man and takes him completely out of the play. Might have been on Henderson's 18-yard scamper. I like to see it. So far so good on that front.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a weapon. We saw it on the toss plays. He gets out there, and he's trying to bury people every chance he gets. And I think Mike Vrabel mentioned they picked up that stunt in practice, so that's just a learning moment for those guys. One thing I'll also mention is that Ben Brown and Garrett Bradbury are competing for the top center spot. They were rotating. Garrett Bradbury was still in when all the starters were out, so that's when to keep an
Series
eye on.
1, Series 2. They flopped right, and then they went back in, right? And then I think Bradbury went over to center or guard with the second unit as well. Or Brown did. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We're losing steam here, John. I'll just add that it was promising that Drake Maye had a decent amount of time back there. He wasn't running around like a chicken with his head cut off by any means. So
really, all the quarterbacks felt like had a pretty good amount of time.
Yeah, there wasn't anything egregious. It wasn't perfect, but I thought it was pretty good stuff from the O-line.
What about lastly, the Tom Brady statue? Ta-da!
Oh, yeah, that happened too.
It actually looked good, which is kind of
good.
surprising.
Okay.
These statues, we know they make it look like completely different people, but that was a pretty statue.
Okay, there's one minor problem.
Yes.
He's got a little pea head there.
It's a little small. The head is a little small.
Okay, this isn't Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not Dwayne Wade. It's a little small.
I wish they would have got a Lombardi trophy in there too, but hey, it's 6 sides for 6 rings, and shout out Tommy. I thought it was good. It was good to hear from him. He was excited, and anytime you can get the GOAT here. But now I think they're finally done. I think they did Tom Brady Day, Tom Brady Night, Tom Brady Statue Day. It's over.
Now we have time until they give him a holiday.
Yeah, we're gonna chill with Tom Brady. Anyway, it's freaking out because we're running out of everything here. Do I have an outro or do I just say goodbye on this show? It's been a while.
I think we just say goodbye.
Then
Take care of yourselves.
We're just going to say goodbye. Hey, subscribe to the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel if you don't already. Tell your friends. We do this all season long. Taylor and Mike, Patriots Daily, nonstop football coverage. There'll be some more film analysis coming tomorrow for sure. Patriots postgame following every single game, preseason, regular season, playoffs, and beyond. Who knows? We will be here. Promising start to the season as the Patriots put up 48 freaking points. 48 points. Celebrate that. I don't care what it is. Preseason, second string, doesn't matter. 48-18, their first preseason game. Fun week against Minnesota coming up, including joint practices.
Taylor, like, what's going on?
Taylor Kyles will be down there with Amit as well. And we'll be doing a bunch of shows from
Ryan
Minnesota.
Hines will be there, so they'll be whooping it up out in Minnesota. So
So that should be a lot of fun. So thank you guys for waiting patiently. Thank you guys for hanging in as long as you did this far after preseason game number 1. It kind of shows we're back, not just here,
we're back, baby.
CLNS, but the interest, the desire to see, what this team is going to be. You can definitely kind of feel a different energy right now. So again, good start for the Patriots, 48-18. Thank you to Taylor. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to Amit and in the field, along with Rich LeMay, our social media whiz extraordinaire down in Foxborough as well. Bailey Kennedy behind the scenes, holding it down, producing. Thank you guys again for watching, and we will see you next time. Good night, all.